Hey people, welcome to our Bettery Hub channel. Once again, it's exciting Thursday nights. Thank you so much for joining us. And first of all, I would like to, maybe congratulate myself and Bettery Hub channel that it's been 1 year since we started this initiative. Now, for those of you who remember a year ago, we were all locked down at home, right? They call it circuit breaker. So, it's been 1 year since we started. And I would like to just take this moment to thank some of the key individuals who have helped us to where we are today. First of all, Bettery Lab and the team, Iskandar, and we have Beatrix, who has been there making sure that we have our show, the guests, the posters on time, the show starts on time. So, thank you, a big thank you. And to the rest of the guys in Bettery Lab, thank you so much for making this show go on for a year. And of course, most importantly, our guest. Now, this is when I realized that, successful individuals, people who are passionate, they are more than willing to always come forward to share whatever their success stories is, their secrets, they are more than willing to share. And this is when I realized that every time I approach in fact, all of the guests that we have until today, they are more than willing to come forward so long as their schedule permits. And in fact, a lot of them, in fact, change their schedules just to be here on our show. So thank you to all our guests. And of course, to you, the viewers. And in fact, I've been getting messages since 6 p.m. to confirm whether the show is still on, and we look forward. And in fact, some of you are already asking me who's our next guest after this guest. So thank you so much to every single viewer out there, to make this possible for 1 year. But of course, me being me, I think 1 year is just the start. Yeah, we're going to go a long run. So thank you so much. And now, before we start, welcome again to Bettery Hub channel, your weekly dose. Now we have two programs, Bettery Connections, where we talk about your weekly dose for business solutions. And that's where we get industry experts to come over to share with us some of their ideas and solutions. And of course, the second one is LifeWorks, where we get individuals. Of course, some of them are industry experts like our guest today, where they come in to share with us how they actually manage to implement their passion to action. So this is where we have two programs just for you. And today, of course, is LifeWorks. And I have an awesome guest today. Now, for those of you who love videos, now we have live videos on our YouTube channel as well as our Facebook channel. So do feel free any point of time to go there, subscribe to us. And if you are audio person, you just listen to audio and you prefer to be on the train and you just listen to audio, then just check out our podcast on Spotify. And of course, remember to just click the like or subscribe button so we know that you are listening and we will do it better for you. All right, so without any delays, let me maybe talk about our guest today. Now, June, this lady and guest, all right, she's been long overdue. We just spoke about like 15 minutes ago that she's supposed to be on our show a year ago. But I think Universe have great plans for us, right? Today is the day. She's joining us, June Wee, a founder of Life Coaching by June Wee, as our guest on LifeWorks program. Now, after close to 2 decades in advertising and marketing industries, brands, she has worked and grown brands like Apple, SK2, and Lexus. And she decided to follow her passion and help people to find their own success by transitioning her brand development skills to personal development. Interesting. June is an intuitive life coach who helps people find clarity, freedom, and fulfillment in their personal and professional lives. Now, you think about it, there are a lot of people who are talking about personal and professional development. So this is definitely a live chat you wouldn't want to miss. All right. So June has a lot of experience of successfully moving across different continents and industries. So she understands the challenges involved. And simple lady, I love to have conversations with her. And I'm really, really glad to have her here today. And what's more interesting, before I bring her in, is she's going to talk about how to have everything in life. And now that intrigued me, and I have not even talked to her what she's going to talk about. Let her surprise us. And without any delays, let's have June. Hi, June.
Hi, Sakti. Hi, everyone. Great to be here. And happy anniversary.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. So, June, you were waiting for us to be 1 year old so that you can join us, right? I take it as that.
Yeah, exactly. It was a test.
Oh, yeah. Okay. We managed to pass the first test, 1 year. And thank you, June. Thank you so much to join us. I'm really excited. I was looking forward for 8 p.m. today. And, and you are here and, it's going to be a lot of fun. And for the viewers out there, any point of time, you have any questions, you have any comments, just engage June and ask us questions, and we will try our best. Or not me, actually, it's more to June. Will make sure that she will answer your question. And yes, first of all, thank you, Pesha. Happy anniversary to Bettery Hub. Thank you so much. And now, without any delays, June, let's talk about yourself. A brief introduction about yourself. Your the journey behind your current success.
Yeah. Wow. Well, how much time do we have? I hope you brought your PJs here, your wine. We can talk about this. Let me try and make a bridge version. So as you've mentioned before, during the introduction, thank you so much for that. I'm born and raised in Singapore, but I also spent almost a decade in the US, in New York and LA. Hi, Pishu. And I started my professional career in advertising, where I help brands like you mentioned, Apple, SK2, Lexus, Tiger Beer, and so much more local and international brands grow their brands through brand strategy and communications, advertising, and so on and so forth. After about 20 odd years doing it in Singapore and the US, I decided at some point, I asked myself, what more do I want to do, And so, long story short, for my personal, the thing about life is that your personal and professional life, they're never quite separate, even though we try and keep them separate. They're interwoven, right? Because that's just how life works. And I was just brought on this journey where I found myself signing up for a life coaching certification program out of curiosity. And when I did it, man, I loved it. I just felt like fish in the water, pig in the soil. I just loved it. And prior to that, I actually had worked with life coaches personally as well. And so when I, went on the coaching, certification journey, and I realized that, what I've been doing for brands is very similar with what one does for coaching as well. So I decided, okay, why don't I just take all my skills and pivot it, and create a shift from helping brands to also helping people, be successful, grow, define what success is, and ultimately, working towards achieving it. So that's an abridged version of how I got here.
Good. Don't worry, I have a lot of questions that will definitely go back to all your experiences in your past journey. 20 years in branding and marketing. I mean, that's a long time in terms of the skill sets you have received, and then you have got. I remember the last time when I spoke to you, you were talking about branding to me, and I got excited. It's like, wow, she just I can't just stop talking to you because you have consistently the energy and so much ideas that comes from you. Now, June, just to check with you, you said that it's intuitive life coach. So when you say intuitive, what does it mean actually?
Okay, so intuition basically is tapping into, this is for some of you, this might sound really left field and woo, but it is what it is. I mean, we all know what intuition is, is that inner knowing in that sense, right? But the question is where does it come from, right? And obviously, if you do your research, there are many theories of where it comes from. But what I like to, I choose to subscribe in the belief is that there is, collective intelligence, right? And there is a universal divine knowledge, and I believe that there are, there's a divine plane where there are answers and possibilities that's out there. And so I tap into using myself as a conduit. So the answers doesn't come from me per se, but I channel through my intuition, and I ask my guides, and I pull in the answers from the divine realm. So that I bring that because I believe that, it's important to have a combination of logic and magic as we try and find solutions and answers. Sometimes, we try and think things through and, be really rational and just rationalize and stuff. And sometimes we just get stuck and we don't have a different perspective or macro perspective or other possibilities. So I feel, with some help from the magic, the divine, it helps when you combine it, that kind of alchemy, it could unlock a lot more possibilities and perspectives to find the answer. So from a practical standpoint, how does that work? Is that I feel, sometimes when talking to people, there's this sense of like knowing, or I just feel it through my senses. And, sometimes my logical brain would be like, please don't talk nonsense. You could be totally off. But then I get curious and I'm like, okay, I'm sensing this thing. There's a feeling, and then I'll say it to that person. And more often than not, that person usually goes like, oh, interesting. Yes, I can, we're always looking for resonance, right? So when it comes to intuitive work and I've not been told in my face that that's absolutely ridiculous, it's crazy or whatever. Thankfully, not yet. And they'll be like, where do you get that from? And I was like, it came to me. The answer came to me. I pulled it out, from somewhere where, and I usually, when I look for those answers, I ask, from a good divine place, like my spirit guides in that sense. I ask, for the divine and good of the other person in that sense. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's a long answer to a short question, which is what's intuition?
No, we're going to speak a bit more, because the reason why I asked you about this is because I personally, in my own experience, I always believe in what I feel, my instincts. And along the years of experience, like what you said, logically it may not make sense, but my instincts say go for it. And till today, again, touch wood, it has not went wrong. The decisions, when I look back, is like, wow, lucky I did that. So there is a connection, right? What you are doing, there is definitely a connection. Maybe I may not be able to explain, and that is where I'm definitely going to ask you a lot more questions to have a clearer picture. And I'm sure, for viewers out there who have went through this experience of certain institutions that you had, and you decided to just follow. Now, what was your experience like, and why does it always work? I think these are things that sometimes we can't explain, and that's why June is here. June, you will be the one who will be engaged. Now, June, now before that, thanks, Jaja, for joining us. And
hi, Jaja.
And June, Jaja is a photographer, I believe. I like the way the photographing post was there, and I believe that now going back to this, okay, let me not drift away. Now, what inspired you to be a life coach? Because before, let's start with this 20 years of experience, June. Knowing you were like, I will say more of a pinnacle of your career. You have been experienced, you've been traveling, you've been working with the big names. What else can somebody ask, right? It's like a career that a lot of people out there will envy. And then you decided to I want to follow my passion and I want to be a life coach. But I strongly believe there's always some inspiration or some story behind this, right? So now let's talk about the passion that really why or what inspired you to be the life coach you are today, in depth.
Okay. The journey first started through my personal experience, where I reached a point in my life and my career. Like at that point in time, I was 30. So okay, let's rewind a bit. When I first started in advertising, I was like, okay, I gave myself a certain time period. So in 10 years, I want to reach this certain level, and that is my goal. So 10 years passed, and I got there, and I thought, yes, I reached my goal. I should be like punching the air right now and feeling like, yeah, this is it, like I've reached the pinnacle. I'm like so happy. Suddenly like 30. I was happily engaged. I was about to get married on a vineyard in South Africa. I was driving a luxury car. Just, on paper, doing really well. Like I checked off all the boxes that one is supposed to check, right? But I was feeling inside, I just wasn't I just wasn't feeling happy, and I was like, oh no, there's something wrong with me. And so I was okay. Do I go and see a therapist, a psychiatrist? Like there's something wrong, you know. And then someone mentioned to me, why don't you go see a life coach? And I was like, what that? Never heard of it before. And you know, and this is over a decade ago, and I decided to research it. I was like, okay, that's something interesting. Let me go and you know find out more. And so I went to meet a coach that was referred to me, and then we got on, and she told me, you know, how it works, and how, you know, the rule of coaching, if you call it a rule, which most people don't often realize, is that a life coach doesn't tell you what to do, which is quite counterintuitive, because once you see the word coach, you think of like sports coach, and they're gonna tell me the strategy and how I do it kind of thing. But what I realized is a life coach doesn't tell you the answers. A life coach guides you to find your own answers, to unlock your full potential, and you know, and feel empowered, right? And set your own goals and stuff like that, and obviously meet it. And so when I embarked on that journey, I found a lot of answers that I wasn't even looking for, and it was just really very powerful, and it was very transformative. So after that, you know, throughout that period, you know, basically by the end of that chapter, I had left my job. I had actually broken off the marriage, the engagement, before the marriage, and then, you know, went on true soul searching, redefine or question what was important to me, because I was so busy chasing after these things that everyone said. Everyone, you know, seems to say that it's the important thing to do, and I realized that I was living a life that I didn't define. I just followed what popular belief said was important, right? And I realized it wasn't in alignment with my values and what was important to me. So I was like, crap, I actually don't really know myself very well. You know, I was just blindly following this route that everyone takes, and you're supposed to, you know, be happy. And when you realize you're not, I'm like, wow, I could have spared myself a lot of, you know, hard times and stuff like that. So anyway, through that journey, I found a new version of myself, and it improved my relationships with other people. It allowed me to be a more authentic version of myself. Not that I was purposely being fake, but I just wasn't aware. I wasn't aware that I was doing things that were disingenuous to myself. I was just people pleasing and just going along kind of thing. And while I was saying yes to everything that everyone else wanted, I was actually saying no to a lot of what I really wanted. You know what I mean? So from there, after that journey, I became a huge advocate of coaching. And whenever friends or, you know, people I knew found themselves at this odd crossroads in life, I'm like, please do yourself a favor. If you can go and hire a fitness coach for your physical body, please go get a life coach for your life. That's even more important, because what's inside is a reflection, you know, is reflected outside, right? So basically, then I went back to my life in advertising and marketing and stuff. And then along the way, I realized that I've done everything that I've done in those conditions, and I was like, yeah, I can continue, you know, and then be on autopilot mode. But I felt I wanted another challenge. Like, how do I, you know, challenge myself? And somehow or other, I met a few people, and then one of the people that I met was a coach for coaches. And so that's when I was like, interesting, there's a course coming up. And by the way, I'm not one person who just, you know, signs on to courses just for fun. I wasn't like that. I must say I wasn't, but now I am, because I found what I love to do. And so I decided, out of curiosity, let me go and try this life coaching thing, this program and a certification, to see whether or not I could do this. Because the before this, when I was telling my friends to go get their own life coaches, they were like, for what? We've got you what? We come to you, you always give us perspective, and you never tell us what we want to hear. So, you know, which is why sometimes we get pissed off at you, but you tell us the truth. And I was like, yeah, okay. And then I asked my husband, I was like, can you see me as a life coach? And she was like, yeah. I was like, oh, how do all of you see something that I don't? So that's when I went to do the certification. And then, like I said, I was like, once I started that course, I was like pig in soil, fish in the water. I was just loving
That's
it.
the Reiki healing certification, is it? Is that the
I'm
initial
sorry?
course?
No, that is a life coaching certification.
Or life coaching certification itself? Wow.
Yes.
Okay. Right.
So basically, in summary, what inspired me to be a life coach is through my own personal experience, wanting a new challenge and wanting to be able to help other people go on that journey of self-discovery, self-definition, and just open up to a bigger new world and that feeling of empowerment. I was like, that would be amazing to be able to do for other people.
And June, talking about your own personal experience and what I've noticed, there are people out there, I believe so. Now, I was one of them, I think about 11, 12 years ago. I won't say I was not happy with my job in the military. I love the military. I love what I do. But, there's this empty space, right? Like, it's like there's something is missing that I wanted to do. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who have even talked to me, over coffee. They say, I feel there's something missing. But not many, even after knowing the answer, may have the courage to take the decision, because it's like instincts versus, the intuition versus logic, right? It's like, I got to pay my bills, I'm already here. So did you ever felt at the point of time when you made the decision, like, I've spent 20 over years building up a career, now why would I want to just walk away? Or, was there any level of fear in your own personal life?
Yeah. How did I overcome that?
Yeah.
Feel the fear. I mean, the thing is, fear's always gonna be there, right? The job of fear is to scare the shit out of you. Like, that's its job, right? If I were fear, that's my job. I will do that to you all day and night, right? But then the thing is, what's more important to me? Am I giving in to fear, or am I giving in to my curiosity, my dreams, and potential? Right? And on a very practical level, I've already had so many years, I've in marketing and advertising, right? I've already built my network, my reputation, my relationships. They're not gonna disappear overnight. I have confidence in that, and so if I step away, and if I do choose to come back, it's still gonna be there. Like, it's not gonna disappear. So I feel like, it was the confidence to step away and knowing that everything's gonna be okay, and that if I wanted to step back, which I have, I could, and I did. And if I want to step away again, I can. I mean, that's a beauty of knowing that you're always free and being confident in what you've already done and achieved.
And I think that the confidence also comes from the point, or from the fact that you take ownership of the situation, and you are taking a step forward to do something that you really want. And
yes.
And to talk to, the viewers out there, for those of you who had the chat with me, so far we talk about people like June who have taken those decisions. I'm sure, June, you have worked with many individuals out there while you are doing your life coaching, that none of them would ever turn back and say, I shouldn't have made the decision. I think most of them, I've talked to, have always felt good about making a decision. In fact, some even say, why did I make a decision much earlier than when I did, right? So the reason why I'm asking this question is because, in LifeWorks, we believe, passion to action, right? So a lot of people refrain from doing that because of this fear. And it's going to be there, like what June said. So, if you have anything, the easiest way is just do it, and then, go step by step, right? And okay, Chacha, she said, job of fear is to scare you. Love that explanation. Yeah, I love that as well. And now we have Ganesh. Hi, Ganesh. Very inspiring.
Hi, Ganesh.
Ganesh is one of them. I would like to also highlight, a guy who left SAF and decided to pursue his passion for dogs. He's right now, the Singapore version of Dog Whisperer, the Dog Yogi. So, Ganesh, thank you for joining us. And now, June, let's talk about.
Amazing, by the way. I am Ganesh's student now. My puppy. is amazing. And I've learned so much thanks to Ganesh.
All right, Ganesh, hear that? So it's a validation from a client and a friend that you have done well. So thanks, Ganesh. Thank you so much, and keep inspiring others as well. And now let's talk about life coaching by Junwi. We talked about your experience going to a life coach. Now, Jun, let's talk about yourself. Tell us more about life coaching by Junwi.
Okay, cool. So along the years, I've added on, besides coaching, I've added on healing modalities to life coaching as well. So and that's because I realized that along the way, people carry a lot of baggage, whether they're conscious or unconscious. And so, I have a lot of clients who I notice require healing on some level. I'm not on a physical level per se, I'm not a doctor, but on a spiritual level. So I went on to get trained for Reiki healing as well. And with Reiki, I mean, there's a lot of written research out there that talks about the benefits of Reiki, and it promotes calmness. It helps you heal, and even cancer patients go for it as well. Not that it cures cancer, but it helps people through the journey of going through the cancer treatments. And when you find your body in a more calm state of mind, in that sense, or would I say state of mind? Yeah. Then it is not so busy. Then it can basically help to regenerate, to fight what I need to fight, and stuff like that. So healing is one of the modalities that I use when I work with my clients as well. And like I said earlier, we talked about intuition. It's also a modality that I bring into coaching. And also Neuro-Linguistic programming, which is, using your 5 senses to help to identify as well as reprogram behaviors and employ new success beliefs, to help people in their journey forward. So I primarily work with, I would say most of my clients are women, but I have a handful of men that I work with as well. And at the end of the day, I don't choose whether, it's a certain gender that I work with. What's most important is, the chemistry, and if that person feels that they can, place that trust in me to help to guide them along in their journey. And so how we usually work together is, when they come, they're usually at a state where, they're feeling not great, right? And they know that there's somewhere that they want to be that's more positive than where they are right now. And together, through our journey together, we, find out what's going on, and, define, what success looks like to them, find out, identify the blocks that are in their way, and then work together to overcome these blocks. So whether if you're super chiong suai, you're gonna bust through those blocks, you can. But there's usually an easier way, to go over, under, or around it. But if you're someone hardcore, like I guess I used to be, I would just want to bash through it. So it depends. It depends, on the way the person wants to move through it. And so through that journey, invariably sometimes that's when healing comes up, and there are there's old trauma, old stories, baggage that needs to be healed before moving forward to take on more new stories, or new ways of being. So through our journey together, I love a good transformation story. I mean, who doesn't love that, right? So what brings me to mind was, my very first client, and this might be a question you might ask later, but I'll tell you now. An example of, one of my favorite stories is my very first client. I had only just received my coaching certification, 3 weeks in, and I had just put on Facebook just to, one of my homework was to declare that I'm a coach, which I was I told my coach, I was I can't believe I have to do this. I feel like a fraud because I only just graduated. How can I call myself a coach? And he was like, so when then? So, okay, fine. He was like, declare it. And I was like, fine. So I declared it. And then I had, a lot of positive responses. I was like, okay, great. And then one of them was from someone that I used to go to college with. And I asked for her permission to share this story so I can say her name. Thank you, Clementine, for letting me share your story. So very sweet Clementine came to me, and we weren't in contact for quite a while because by then I was living in New York and she was still in Singapore. And when she reached out to me, she said, okay, I'm in a situation where I'm married with 2 kids. I've got a job. Everything is fine. As in everything externally is fine, but I just tried committing suicide. And so she said, I feel lost. I can't find a reason to live. Like, will you help me? And I was like, whoa. First, I'm a new coach. I'm not sure whether this is my wheelhouse. I'm not sure whether I really doubted myself, but after thinking through it, I asked her, do you have proper, medical support, right? I was like, I'm willing to be part of your support structure, but, when it comes to things like this, you need to get medical attention as well, because it sounds like depression is part of what you're going through. And so she said, yes, she's working with a psychiatrist, and she was seeing a counselor as well. And because she really wants to get past this stage through what she was going through, she said she wanted all the support she could get, so she wanted to add on a coach. So I was like, that's great. You've got a team. That's fantastic. So we started our journey of working with one another. I think at the end of our first month working together, she told me, June, I feel a lot of, success coming from what we're doing, that I feel like I don't need my counselor anymore. I will retain my psychiatrist and with you, and I feel like that's all I need. I'm like, okay, great. I was like, whatever works for you, right? And then through the journey of working together, we watched her transform. And I say we, meaning me and her family. So going from someone who couldn't find meaning in life and tried taking her own life, she found herself. She defined what was important to her in most areas of her life, in terms of career, her family. Like she defined those goals. She was very clear about it, and she worked on them, and I helped her move through them. And you could see like her energy changed. She became a different person, really positive. And so much so that Chinese New Year, that one time, I received a message from one of her family members that we commonly knew. He sent me a message. He said, hey, Clementine told me that you're working together, that you're coaching her. I just want to let you know that on behalf of the family, I got goosebumps as I'm saying this. I just want to say thank you on behalf of the family, because before this, she stopped coming to our weekly dinners. But through working with you, we've seen her, transition and transform, and she has started engaging with us and coming back for dinners. And I was like, that was like, okay, you know what? I can die now, and I've lived a worthwhile life because I've helped someone else as well, And then by the end of our time working together, she left a job she didn't love. She got that courage to do that. She got the courage to even admit it to begin with, and then she decided to leave. And then she started her own business. And then in the end, I guess the truth came out that her marriage wasn't really functioning really well. But by then, she was even strong enough and calm enough to handle the fact that there was a divorce that was going to happen, and she became a really stronger version of herself. I mean, at the beginning of that, I could never imagine like this woman about to kill herself and then at some point be able to handle a divorce and stuff like that. That was like, I would have never been able to guess that. But and today, and I was just speaking to her. I was chatting with her like 2 days ago when I told her I was coming on this show, and I asked her for permission to share her story, and she was like, "Yes, please." She's fully, a businesswoman, starting her own another second business this week, launching actually, and a single mom, and yeah, I couldn't be happier for her.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome, right? Doing something that makes a difference and impact, and hearing it from the family members and her friends around it. It's that's what life is all about, right? You work and you don't even feel like you're working, I believe. And congrats.
Thank you.
Awesome. While listening to this story, I could feel, I don't even need to ask you why, how do you got up the passion? I think it's the passion is there while you are sharing this story itself, the amount of passion. And now there's one key thing that I realized, and we had this conversation way before, where, whether it's life coaching, sometimes people are too focused on just one aspect of their life. There are many terms they call about, some use it as whole person concept, where you're talking about different domains in life, right? We're talking about our career, we are talking about our relationships, whether it's friends, family, and then we're talking about social, our mental, our physical, there's a whole number of domains around us that sometimes you can be successful in one, but you still feel empty because there's something that you are not focusing on. And especially in today, when we are out most of the time working and we are fighting against time, trying to get things done and everything, we may just miss it. So in this case, do you actually go through a process where you sit down and really have a conversation in terms of all these different aspects to find out more from
Absolutely. Right. My job is to ask the questions that people either don't want to or haven't thought about asking themselves, or sometimes, don't even want to face. And they're always very simple questions. I come from a place of curiosity, and at the end of the day, my job is my success is their success, right? And it is very important that we look at life holistically, because the thing is, the interesting thing is, you can put on your blinkers and only focus on one aspect of life, like your job. Most people, that's the easiest, right? Also easier to control, because for most people, unless you work with family members and friends, most people your personal and professional life, you can like draw a line, and when you come home, you can be a version of yourself, and your work, you can be this other version. You can shut them out. Like, of course, very easy, right? But more often than not, how you do anything is how you do everything. So, how sometimes people say that, oh, this person, very fierce at work, but at home, is a mouse to like a husband or wife or whatever. That's how you see that life kind of like just flows. Coming back to the thing about how you do anything is how you do everything. Just because the personas are different doesn't mean that you're doing things differently. It just means, in this case, you are engaging in, that duality and polarity of, being a certain person to different people at one time. Look, all of us have all these masks that we wear, right? But the thing is, sometimes doesn't it get tiring trying to keep track of how you are with some people versus other people, it's like, unless you're a professional actor and you get paid to do that, then sure lah. But in your life, wouldn't it be nice if you could just be you all the time, and have people just accept you for being you, instead of trying to please other people by being a certain way, and then after that overcompensating another way. Like, maybe you're super subservient at home, and then at work you become a tyrant because you've got all this like frustration and stuff. Like, that's not healthy, right? So what we're trying to find is this holistic and cohesive balance where you can just be your authentic self all the time. And now the thing is, most people, this is very generalized, I wouldn't say most people, but I want to say a lot of people that have come along, I've met with, perhaps haven't had the time to think about, who am I? When you meet people, they're often defined by their jobs, Hi, I'm this person. I'm June. I'm a life coach. Sorry, that doesn't define me. You know what I mean? And it's also, when I'm asking who are you, I'm not asking what do you do. it's a very different question, right? Who are you, right? And that's a much deeper question. But however, we always default to what do we do, and then the thing is, we're human beings. We're not human doings or human doers. Why do we keep talking about what we do, or why do we pay so much emphasis on I must do more, do faster, do this, do that? It's like, so can't you just be a certain way, right? Because how you are being therefore affects everything that you feel, do, say in that sense, as opposed to like just doing. Like, what are you, like, I don't know, a cow, or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's interesting because yes, most of us we relate when a question is asked, like, who you are. The first thing is like, oh, hi, I'm Shakti and I'm doing this, and it's always related to either your career, your job, your position, something. And it's very rare you meet somebody who say, hey, hi, I'm Shakti, I'm a free spirit, I just like to do things by my design. You never get that kind of answer, right? And it'll be interesting. I'll take note of that to tell someone that is me, whether it's in a social setting and so on. So and I think this is where even myself personally, I felt one of the key times where I started realizing and became happy about doing things was when I could see myself engaging the different domains in my life and starting to understand. And I realized, and correct me if I'm wrong, June. So can I say that coming to you and having those questions and then having a chat with you, it's more like individuals realizing more about themselves, a discovery process or journey. Can I say that?
Yes, absolutely. That's a very big part of it. And the thing is, it's something that you can do on your own, self-inquiry, just to find out more. But there's a difference between doing it yourself and having someone draw it out of you, right? It's kind of like this show, right? It's you could do a one-man monologue, or I could do a one-woman monologue and have my script and just or just shoot the breeze. But when you are faced with, someone else who's a partner that you trust, right? That person's able to draw these answers out of you as you are doing it with me in that sense, right? Because, and as well as not just ask questions, but do a reflection as well. So what's important is, like, hence a mirror. Why we all need mirrors in life is, you don't want to go out, with your shirt half untucked and you didn't know, and sometimes you can't see it from the back, and but if you have a mirror or someone else reflect it to you, you'll know, right? Instead of going out half dressed without even knowing it. Same thing with coaching as well. As you are sharing information with your coach and your coach reflects it back to you, you get to hear it. And if you're a visual person, you get to see it. And then that's where the aha moment often comes out, and you're like, hang on, what, then it crystallizes and you go like, did I just say that? And then you kind of like, see the gap between what you think you thought you saw or said, and then that's when the answers come out. Like, I love those aha moments with my clients where they say something and they do something, and I just reflect it to them, like, you said blah blah blah, you did blah blah blah, and then the answer's just there, and it's like, wow, amazing. And it's a lot more powerful for us to find our own answers than someone telling us. I mean, that's just the way that we're programmed, right? If someone tells us, it's just like yet another thing. I mean, every day there are messages flying to us all the time, right? And people always telling us, you should do this, you should do that, blah, 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 kind of thing. And it's like, whatever. But when it's your own answer, you feel it and you're like, holy crap, like, wow, that eureka moment, it's amazing. And so I find like what's really powerful about coaching is that when you find your own answers, you can realize how you've defined yourself, and in doing so, how you can unlearn what you learned and redefine yourself as well. So the thing about us is that, with all these, like, going back to, how we introduce ourselves and we tie ourselves to a certain identity, mostly by our careers. If you think about it, when you think about your kid, or even just as you when you were born, if you can go back there, before you had a name, you were just a baby, right? But then after that, the doctor said, excuse me, congratulations, your parents, you got a boy. Okay, you've got an identity now where you're a boy. right? And then you got a name. And your name could possibly carry certain certain identities. You know, if your name stands for something, or if it stands for strong, then suddenly, wow, you have this onus to be a strong person. You know what I mean? Then you've got religion, your parents' beliefs, and then what school you go to is important, what ECA you take is important, and then your career. There's all these like invisible rules that, you know, then layer by layer, we take on all these, you know, beliefs and stuff. And then it becomes our entire identity. You're kind of like an onion, so many layers, right? And especially as you were younger, when you were younger, and when you weren't so aware in that sense, and even as an adult as well, you can just unconsciously just take on all these things and you just accept it. You don't question it, right? And then if it all works well and fine, you're great. You're this onion that works well. But suddenly, if you're feeling really uncomfortable and like, what's this? You know, who am I? And stuff like that, right? And things are not so aligned. That's when you go like, you can peel those layers off, right? Whatever doesn't suit you, you can just throw it away. You can reinvent yourself. And then choose what other layers you want to bring on and be a different version of yourself. I might think of Madonna. I mean, how old is she now? Like, I don't know, 60s or whatever. But she constantly reinvents herself while still staying true to her essence of being who she is, like, you know, a badass, but still relevant in culture. You know, some people might say, oh, at this age, like back it in, you know, and be a grandma or whatever. Some could say that, you know, or some women her age might believe that. But look at her. She's still, you know, is relevant. And she takes care of herself really well, and she's just, always constantly reinventing herself, which is amazing.
Yeah, and you know, it's very true. I mean, now that you used Madonna, I've had many who told me that, you know, I'm already 45, you know, too old for this, too old for that, and you limit yourself by, you know, using another factor, which is age, right? So and somehow or other, sometimes I feel that why are you self-limiting yourself with all these factors? Now, the most interesting part, and I'm really awaiting for this, you know, is like when, you know, Jun, you were talking about how to have everything in life. Now, let's go in depth of that. So how can I get everything in life, Jun? You want to share with us?
Sure. Like, the first question is, what's everything to you? What's the everything that you want in your life? Let's say you are at the beginning of a buffet line of life right now, and you've got a plate, and you're standing there like, you know, what's the everything? Like, do you literally want everything that you see down the line, or do you want more? Like, it's important to define what's your everything, because there are some things that you want more and some things you absolutely don't want that other people want. So it's very important to define what's your everything and how much of each do you want. Then you know how big your plate needs to be. Sometimes people go, I cannot have everything. I cannot handle it because my plate's too full. I have a lot of people who be like, oh, I cannot, my plate's too full. Okay, well, not a different plate. Change the plate. Why cannot? You know? So it's very important to first understand what is the everything that you want, right? And then mindset's really important, because if first you believe, okay, so you know how we've got these stories in our heads, right? And you briefly touched on it. You know, some people say that, oh, I cannot, I'm 45, like all these limiting beliefs. Okay, limiting beliefs is a juicy thing that I work with my clients on. We try and work through and bust through all these self-limiting beliefs, because these beliefs are there just like fear, right? It's like the villain, right? All these villains, their job is to stop you, right? Stop you from getting what you want. And if you let them win, then okay, you let them win and then they win. But if your self-limiting belief is, and a lot of these self-limiting beliefs are stories or sayings that we picked up when we were younger, and they become like gospel truths, and we don't question them. Like, everyone says so is correct, lah. You know what I mean? So, one is you can't have everything in life. Like,
yes.
Like, who say one? Like, who said so? And even if you can name the person who came up with this line, is it necessarily true? Maybe it's true for that person, but if that person believes it, you also want to believe. I mean, just like how you can say that person to jump off a building, you don't want to jump off, is it? You know what I mean? And then the other question is, how is this belief serving you, right? So if it's limiting you, then the next question is, how does that feel? Like, does it feel expensive and great and positive, or does it feel, sad and icky and like, if that's the case, do you want to remain there, right? So it's important to find out these self-limiting beliefs that you have and work through them and find out, like, there's a reason why you're holding on to that story, right? There's a reason why you maybe choose to play small, because you're safe. I mean, if you look at Maslow's hierarchy, right? Basic needs, psychological needs, and then self-fulfillment. So yeah, well, we're always, our basic needs, like, fear, security, and all that kind of stuff, it's all wrapped up there. So, when you want to think of something, having something big, it's kind of, oh no, what if I fail? What if I cannot have it? So you just want to protect yourself in that sense, right? So like, okay, I have a bit can already, I'll be happy. And then slowly but surely you teach yourself to be contented with what little you have, which is not a bad thing, right? But if you're truly happy and you're like, yes, this is all I need and I want, great. But we're very good at deceiving ourselves and compromising in that sense, right? So the question is, are you really happy? Not that I want to mind F anyone, but the question is that true? Like, are you not going after everything because you think you can't have it, or is because you're afraid of failing? Yeah, can't have it, don't want to fail, or just really don't want? So to answer, so it's a loaded question. When I came up with this topic, I was like thinking, is it too generic, right? And I thought of, like, changing it, but I was like, no. I was like, before I try and like squirm away and make it more specific or whatever, and like, because I too have a mind that, sometimes doubts and go like, oh, should it be this kind of thing. I'm a recovering perfectionist. I was like, no, I'm going to stick with it, because that is a question that we all, again, generalizing, but a lot of people do wonder, can I have everything? My mom used to tell me like, oh, you can't have everything. To have something, you lose something. But I was like, as I pondered upon it and I reflected upon it, I was like, well, it depends. It's not so hard and fast where you have something, you definitely lose one thing. Yeah, sure. If you want to have a very simple thing where, you're at the top of your career because you're spending so much time in your career, therefore you lose time with your family, that's possible. Then we're talking about extremism already, right? Like, can't you find a balance where you find success in your career without necessarily losing your family per se, right? It's kind of like a dance. It's okay. Going back to the plate analogy, you want to get a bigger plate, or look at the proportion of all the things that you want. And also, no one's saying that you can only have one go at the buffet. Like, your life is a journey. There are many different chapters. Do you have to have everything right here, right now? You can phase it out. And sometimes just because you want doesn't mean that it's just going to show up and like, yeah, sure, you're going to have it all right now, right? The least you can do is first to define what's the everything you want. What that looks like, visualize, have your grand vision that if, we're talking about possibilities here. If there's nothing stopping you at all, what would your perfect life look like, right? What will you be doing? Just, if you don't visualize it as real as you can, like, until you can practically feel it, right? And then, you work towards, getting it. Now, all you can do is till that juncture. What you receive in return is completely out of your control. And what and when's going to come back to you is out of your control. But what's within your control is what you put in towards it. And in doing so, as you are putting in the effort towards it, there will be other returns that come back through that process, right? And it could be beyond your expectations or your imaginations. But in action, not gonna bring you anything. I mean, it'll bring you something, but I mean, it might not bring you what you want. So why not put your dream into action, turn passion into action, and then you will have a shot of having something or everything and or everything in life. So it starts off with first defining what the everything you want that you want, not what people say that you should have. So it's something important to reflect on and make it a list, make it real so that you can see it. If you're a visual person, you could take images off the internet and stuff, and create a vision board. What's your everything? Your everything is only bound by imagination, right? So if we didn't dream, if people didn't dream, if the likes of Elon Musk, Einstein, Graham Bell, who invented the telephone, if they didn't dream and pursue that, then where would we be? Where would we be today in that sense, right? So, and it doesn't need to be such grandeur things of whether it's sending people to space or creating some inventive technology. It could be other things like everything could just be health, healthy relationships, whatever that scale is for you is perfect.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, what I feel, and I strongly believe this, I'm a strong believer, June, that we can have everything in life. So, I was intrigued by this topic. Is like, I want to see your version and your point of view of how, and I do agree. It's about defining what you want, right? Definition of success is different from all of us. All of us have different definition of success. So, first of all, defining, and then from there, and I do agree. I think a couple of chats ago we had Sandro Forte, one of our guests, who say that people fail not because of having unrealistic and big goals, but they fail because they try to get goals that are to them realistic, but it's really too low for them. And when they hit it, that's where they are they are limiting their success, or they are limiting themselves from doing the great things, right? So it's about really aspiring to have big things. Think about it, put it up there. And now, correct me if I'm wrong. Is it also about prioritizing what is the most important thing at this point of time that you want to work on?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. I'm a good student of yours, right?
Yeah, well done. Prioritizing is really important because as much as you want to have everything, back to you can't be using the word everything. You can't be everything to everyone, right? You can't do everything at one time as well, right? So, Ganesh, life economical mixed rice. Choose all you like, put them on your plate, and no one can say you're wrong. I like that. Yeah.
Simple explanation.
Absolutely. Prioritize, you know what I mean? Because you can only do so many things at one time as well. So yes, you can have everything, but no one is saying that you have to have them all at one time, because you need to be very strategic with how you use your time and your energy. Because if not, then you'll just be like stirring so many different pots. And instead of like doing one thing well, you can do 10 things like half-ass. Like, what's the point? But it's also not to say that you just be so single-minded that you only do one thing, and just only focus on that. Then okay lah, you have something. If it works out, you might not have everything. But if that's your everything, then sure.
But that's the thing about life, right? Get excited about doing things that you have never got and what you really want, and that gives you a purpose every day when you wake up, right?
100%, because I mean, why are we here? Existential question. But the thing is, we're all, and this, I believe that we're all spiritual beings that's here on a human, on a human experience, right? So, like, we're here on a long ass holiday, okay? So how we choose to make our journey through however many years, if we're lucky, we get 80, 90 years. I mean, we can't just assume that if that's a typical lifespan, we all have 80, 90 years. We might not, like, anytime anything could happen. So, but I'm not saying that, you live life dangerously and like, just be irresponsible in that sense, but it is about a balance, right? So, what do you want to make of this journey, right? And then you want to ask yourself, at the end of this journey, whenever that may be, what do I want to be proud of? What do I want to have experienced? What do I want to feel about myself? Like, do I feel like I did myself proud and I really gave this trip, this experience, a good go? It's like going to Disneyland, right? You want to come out and go like, yeah, I didn't. I went to the gift store, I bought a few toys, and then I played a few safe games. And yeah, I'm good. Or did you want to go like, wow, I went on this ride that I didn't really want to, but I actually ended up loving it. You could say I went on every ride, hated some, loved some, whatever. Or you could go like, yeah, I went on some rides, which is also fine because I don't feel like I missed out. I don't feel like I need to have every ride. I just want to have every ride that feels right for me. That's also okay. Or did you want to, like I said, just go like, yeah, I went to Disneyland and it was that lah. Did you try everything or did you try most things? Like, no, not really, because I just didn't want to try.
End of the day, I just went Disneyland and that's it, right?
Yeah,
You just do that. and yes, and I mean, not really a question, but if I go to Disneyland, I will do every ride that I really want, and then from there do anything else that's available just to try experience, right? So right, and let's move on. June, I got to warn all the viewers. With June, I can go on and on. That's how it is with June, right? So I'll be the bad guy to always telling June, let's move on. But any point of time, ask questions, because I just feel that talking to June, it can just go on. I have a lot of questions that I've really listed out here while having this conversation. But
okay, let's go. Let's make this a bullet round. Like, okay,
bullet round. Okay, challenges being an entrepreneur. You for 20 years. What are the biggest challenges that you had?
Time management, financial management, like all the admin stuff. Because when you're a solopreneur, like it's just all on you. Like you don't have a team to help you in that sense. Like you do everything. So you must have like a lot of hands and hats and stuff. So that's that. Time management as well, because when there's no structure, you could go all over the place. So it's important to have some kind of a structure. And also being what's that word? Being okay with the unknown, because there isn't always going to be a steady paycheck that's coming in. You don't necessarily know everything that's going to come at you, especially if you're just starting out. So you have to like learn everything over again and kind of be okay being unstable in the sense. Yeah, so that can be challenging.
And I think it's something that you already, look forward to, and you are already prepared. I think the key thing is to know that, things will not be exactly as stable as you are when you are, especially the initial stage of your entrepreneurship. But it's about getting this. Yeah. All right. And the reason why I asked this question, because I say one of the biggest fear would be for a lot of them who want to, if let's say they have a certain passion and they want to engage people, and it could be even through taking on the entrepreneurship route, will be the fear of instability, right? It's like, hey, now I won't be stable. Will I be getting that kind of income? So I think this is something that we have to be prepared for, and then work towards it, right?
Yes, definitely be prepared for that. I have to say, the first time round when I did it, I was really idealistic, and I was like, you know what? If I start a business, everyone's gonna come. Sure. Cut to a few months, I'm like, no,
you're not in this alone. You're not in this alone. I went through the same, so and I'm sure most of the entrepreneurs, when they start, they have went through that.
Yeah, right. Like it's just that everyone's been saying it. Everyone said it. It's just that you weren't listening, and sometimes it's normal. You just gotta go through it, and then you learn.
All right, true. And now let's talk about failures, right?
Yes.
Now, failures are the best teachers. This is where you learn, you grow, you validate, and you move on, right? So, maybe what are your thoughts and any specific experience that you realized that, wow, this one failure that really made me be what I am today, or a lesson that...
Yes. Like I was just sharing, when I first started, I was like all idealistic and like hunky dory, like I'm gonna be fine, yeah, it's gonna be great. And it's true because I didn't quit just after I got my certification, but when after I first started that, I hit the road with like three clients, right? And I was like, yeah, I'm not being rash. I already got 3 clients, so yeah, it's not as if I've got no clients, sorting slides. I've got 3 clients, I can go, I'm ready to go out. It's incremental. So, but then I realized that, yeah, the music doesn't keep going on its own all the time, and that some things are just out of your control. So, so I must say that, what I learned from there is that, don't be over idealistic going in, right? Have like, because the thing is, when you fall, you learn some stuff, which is great. But if I can help someone else not do that, I'll be like, please, before you do that, just go a little while more, and then also make sure that you have ample reserves so that it's fine. It'll be great if you don't have to dip into those reserves, But the thing is, it'll give you that peace of mind, so you don't have to worry. Having said that, there's also another school of thought, like go for broke. If you've got nothing, you can, it's okay, you'll find a way because there's a lot of rags to riches stories, right? Like people like, I was down my last $50 and I started this thing. You know what? There are all kinds of stories with all kinds of different permutations. There's no guarantee that any one story is going to be your story, because your story could possibly be another story that you tell at another point in time, which could be a different interpretation. So, do what's best for you. If you know that you're someone whose security is very important to you, and if you cannot function in the sea of instability, then please make sure that you have kind of built yourself some kind of, stability structure, so that you won't fall too hard in that sense, because sometimes if you feel that stability is really important for you and you haven't built yourself that stability, and then you go, gangbusters in, and by the back of your mind, you're worrying about, what if I cannot survive? Then when you're so busy worrying, you can't focus on what you're trying to do. So rather than, throw yourself into the deep end, you don't necessarily have to, be kind to yourself. Go easy on yourself. You don't need to have a dramatic story just because a lot of people do, and they're often bestsellers. There are a lot of sleeper hits and stories that are less dramatic, but if at the end of the day, you're gunning for your success, find the easiest way to get there. You don't have to find a Chong Sua kill yourself, has to be a Hollywood movie kind of drama. Spare yourself the drama. If you find that you're often someone who just thrives on the drama, if it works for you, great. But sometimes you really don't need the drama. Just get on with it, and and just try and sail as smoothly as you can. So be kind to yourself will be important.
And reminds me, we all have choices in life, so long as we are willing to face the consequence of the choices we take, right? So if you are the first guy,
you have to face it.
So in this case, if you are somebody who feels that I the consequence of not having additional savings for me to dip on, and I don't want to go through the stress, then fine, then plan it out, like what June said. Plan it out. Luck is about preparation. When preparation meets opportunity, right? So plan it out, take it slow, and then go on. But if you are the other guy or the other kind who says, yeah, I'm willing to chong so, then go for it. But always remember, if things go wrong, just face the consequence. And if you're prepared for it, then fine. So either way, I can say that I used to think that I'm the other way around, but no matter what, it's always about preparation, mentally and, in other ways, financially and so on, right? Right. Thanks, June. And yes, June, what do you want to be remembered for? The legacy you want to leave behind?
It's interesting, this question. Like when you said legacy, I was like, wow, it sounds so huge. And yeah, I just want to be remembered as a good friend, a loved one, someone who cared, and someone who lived life to the fullest.
All right. And, any specific disappointments or regrets that you have? wrong question to ask a life coach, right? He's like,
Oh, let me see. I've always, I can't even remember how this started, but I've always believed in not having any regrets. Because I guess, yeah, when you say regret, it's kind of like, oh, I wish I didn't do that in that sense, because of blah 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 blah. But everything is an experience, and everything brings a lesson in itself. So I must say, I've not yet had any regrets, not yet, and I always try not to.
To add on to this, I always say, I don't have regrets as well of doing something, but I always, pray hard and tell myself that I never want to have this regret of not doing something I wanted to do. And that will be something that I will never want to be in. Right. Thanks, June. And now, before we move on towards, I won't say the last question, but towards the end. Now, for those of you out there, this is for the viewers. Specifically, if you have questions for June, if you think that you want to, link up with June, find out more what she does, because trust me, life coaching is not about just, meeting up something, but it's about yourself. It's investing in yourself. It's your life. Right. So if you guys want to have a chat with June, you want to contact her, you can always go down, check out her website, junev.com, or check out June's Instagram and Facebook page. And anytime, just message her, and definitely June will get back to you. And I will strongly suggest have a word with June, because, this is word from me. It's an interesting conversation. It will never end in a 5-10 minutes conversation. So I think you will really want to talk to her more to find out. And if it's about yourself, I think it's definitely a big investment. Now, June, what is the advice that you have for our viewers, our entrepreneurs and viewers, any word of advice for them who are currently engaged?
Be kind to yourself.
Oh, that's a powerful one. Simple, short, and very deep, right? All right. And anything else, June? So be kind to yourself. All right. Okay. I like this sudden energy.
I'm just gonna leave it as that, because and coming back to coaching, as like I said, we don't give advice, because giving advice assumes that I know better than you in that sense. I feel like I know differently doesn't mean that I know better. So I like to just, and I like keeping it broad as well, because what you take out of it resonates with you and works for you and is relevant for you. And I feel that's more important. And it's most important to find the answers from yourself. Don't look to other people to give you the answers, because those are their answers, not yours.
Right. And June, for a moment, you just, reminded me of Master Yoda from Star Wars. It's like simple, short, sharp, but very deep advice, So awesome. And, June, thank you so much. I had an awesome time. In fact, as I always say, every time I'm in a conversation with you, time just flies. And it's that's, thank you so much for that wonderful conversation and sharing that you had from your heart. And, I think the viewers, thank you so much for giving so much comments, for joining us, and even, engaging June with your questions. With that, June, thank you. And definitely, I'm going to meet up with you for coffee soon. And really, without any time limits, to have a lot of conversation with you sometime very soon. Thank you, June.
Thank you so much, Sakti, and happy anniversary again. Well done. And thank you all of you who have tuned in today as well as post today. I really appreciate your time. And absolutely hit me up. I'd love to hear from you.
Definitely. All right. Thank you, June. I'll catch up with you soon.
Can see you. Bye.
Right. Bye. Yes. It's awesome. And really, for all of you out there, when I said that whenever I have conversations with June, it's always, very deep conversations, and we are really, talking about things, and it's awesome. So do feel free to engage June, just, give her a message, check out what she's doing out there as a life coach. And as I said, be kind to yourself, or as June said, be kind to yourself. Invest a bit of time, because it's for yourself itself. Now, with that, we have come to the end of our Bettery Hub Channel LifeWorks show today with June, and I think it was awesome. Now, do remember, all right, to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you are into live videos, or you can actually check out our Spotify podcast on Spotify, where we will be having all our, including June's current live chat as well, will be up on Spotify by Saturday morning. So do check it out, and remember to like. Now, with that, we will also encourage you to leave comments so that we can do it better for you. You know, as much as we do live chats and everything, is always about doing it better just for you. So with that, thank you so much. Now, if you have planned or planning to achieve something, now I won't call it an advice, but I will just say, just do it. And you have already embarked your journey, as what Bettery Lab and Bettery Hub Channel always says, just keep doing it better and enjoy the journey. So till next week, see you and keep moving forward.